So what is elimination reaction? Okay, so you got a substrate as in SN1 reaction also there is a substrate, there is a base or a nucleophile, the reaction occurs. So in case of substitution reaction, your leaving group is replaced by an nucleophile, whereas in your elimination reaction, your substrates from the substrate they remove your groups. There will be leaving groups will be left along with another substrate, another group. So to give an unsaturated product, so you take a substrate, you treat it with a strong base, you get an unsaturated substance. That's usually an alkene. So which type of, where does this reaction takes place? So this reaction takes place in organic compounds with an electronegative atom or an electron withdrawing group bonded to your sp3 hybridized carbon. So if there is an electron withdrawing group, so an electron withdrawing group which is attached to your carbon, then it undergoes either substitution or elimination reaction. So what is the major important criteria for this type of reaction? There should be an electron withdrawing group that should be attached to your sp3 hybridized carbon. If you see this particular carbon, so it is sp3 hybridized. Okay, so it is attached to an electron withdrawing group like halogens, tosylate. They're all electron withdrawing group or electronegative elements. So when they are attached, then it either undergoes a substitution or a elimination reaction. So halide ion is a good leaving group. Substitution reaction on these compounds are easy and used to get wide variety of compounds. So basically alkyl halides are used, but in this case also which alkyl halides are very good living? Alkyl iodide or bromide. Chloride and fluorides are weakly living because it undergoes less reaction. So either you get an substitution product or an elimination product from this thing. So it should have an electron withdrawing group and a nucleophile or a base for the substitution or an elimination reaction to take place. Okay. Now let's go for even. What is even? Elimination unimolecular reaction. Similar to your SN1 reaction, E1 also undergoes, it's a two-step reaction. It's a two-step reaction. It is similar to that of your SN1 reaction. The first step is formation of your carbocation by heterolytic cleavage. What is heterolytic cleavage? Your electrons is retained by one of the group and other becomes electron deficient. So there is an unequal distribution of your electron. So one becomes negatively charged and other becomes positively charged. So in this case, when an alkyl halide reacts, the leaving group goes off, there is a heterolytic cleavage to form a carbocation, and in case of SN1 reaction, nucleophile attacks on your carbocation to give you an substituted, but in some cases when the nucleophile is too strong base, so it will abstract a proton which is beta to your carbonyl group, okay, carbocation, and you get an unsaturated eliminated product. So this is how your elimination reaction occurs. So if you see the orbital diagram, so your carbocation is there. So the carbocation which is formed, that is planar. So now the base comes, that is methoxy base comes. It abstracts the proton which is beta to your carbocation and you get an unsaturated bond, that you get a pi bond that is formed. You get a pi bond that is formed. So it takes away the proton and you get a pi bond formation. You get a pi bond formation. So your nucleophile abstracts the proton from your transition state and you get a pi bond. This is how an elimination reaction occurs in case of even elimination. So even elimination unimolecular reaction. Why? Because it depends upon the concentration of the substrate only. Now bases are used to promote elimination. So in this particular type of elimination reaction, you require a strong base. You require a strong base, oxygen containing negatively charged, like hydroxide and alkoxide derivatives are used as a base in case of your elimination reactions. Some of the bases which are commonly used for dehydrohalogenations are sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, sodium methoxide, ethoxide, and potassium tertiary. A strong base is used. The base should be strong so that it can abstract a proton rather than undergo a substitution. So strong base should be used in case of elimination reacts. The products of elimination. To draw any products of dehydrohalogenation, find the alpha carbon. So first you have to find the alpha carbon. So alpha carbon is nothing but the one to which your halogen group is attached. You can see the cursor. So the alpha halogen atom is the carbon which has the halogen group attached to it. Adjacent to that are the beta. So there are three beta carbons. You can see there are three beta carbons. Okay. So there are, in this particular example, that is 2-bromo-3-methyl-propane, there are three beta carbons which are attached to your carbon containing halogen groups. Okay. So this will, and it removes the proton from and X from the alpha and beta carbon to form a pi bond. So in elimination reaction, first step is your loss of your halide, which is followed by your abstraction of proton by a base to form an pi bond. So this is how the reaction takes place. So in this case, there are two possibility of formation of two products. So one is from the right hand side and one or the top or the right hand side or from the left hand side. So there might be a possibility of formation of two products. Okay. So later on we'll be explaining which product will be more. Okay. Which product will be formed is more preferred. So it is said that whichever alkene is highly substituted, it will undergo the product. So any highly substituted alkene is formed rather than an unsubstituted alkene. So when the product is formed, and highly substituted benzene, highly substituted alkene is formed. Okay, so remember this thing. So order of alkene stability. So stability of alkene increases with the number of alkyl groups bonded to the double bonded carbons. So as the alkyl substitution in the R group substitution to the alkene increases, this increases the stability. So the most stable is the tetra substituted alkene. So all the four groups of this thing are substituted by an alkyl group. Next is the one. So the least one is your ethylene. So ethylene is the least stable because it does not contain any alkyl substitution in this. So stability and increasing in the number of R groups across the double bond increases the stability. Remember, this can come for 2 marks. So stability of your alkenes increases with the increasing number of alkyl group which is added across the alkene group. Okay, double bond. Higher the percentage of S character, the more readily an atom accepts the electron. So S character increases means electronegativity increases. So it has ability to attract electrons towards it. Thus, your sp2 carbon are more able to accept electron density and sp3 carbon are able to donate your electron. So because in case of sp2, S character increases, so its electronegativity increases and it can attract more electrons towards it. So as the S character increases, your electronegativity increases and it can attract the electron density towards itself. Consequently, the increasing in number of electron donating groups on the carbon able to accept electron makes the alkenes more stable. So if it can abstract more electrons with the more increasing number of electron donating groups on the carbon, atom is able to accept electron density makes it alkynes more stable. So it increases the electron density on the carbon. So thus increases the stability of your alkene. Now let us see there are two forms of, there are two forms of alkenes, that is transalkene and cis alkenes. So there are two forms of alkenes, transalkenes and cis alkenes. So let us take an example of trans-butene. So this is asked in a write the structures of 2-butene. Okay. So first, what is the trans-butene? If you see, there are how many possible structures of trans-butene? First is 1-trans-butene, 2-trans-butene. So in 2-trans-butene there are cis and trans. Okay, there are cis and trans. So 2-butene. So what does it say? The trans 2-butene is disubstituted and is more stable than the cis disubstituted alkene. But both are more stable than 1-butene because it is monosubstituted. Why trans? So what do you say? So in case of stability, your trans alkenes are more stable than your cis alkenes. I'll be explaining you later the phenomena, why it happens. Okay. So what happens in trans-butene? The dipole moment is nullified. So it is stable. Whereas if you see the example of cis, the dipole moment is more towards the one side and other side is, so electron density is more towards one side and less in the other side. So they are unstable. Whereas in trans, if you see, one is over here and other is on the other side. So they nullify. The dipole moment is nullified. Thus, your trans butene is more stable than your cis butene. Now let's go for the pathways. So what happens? What is the difference between E1 and E2? So what is the first step? So most of this reaction takes place in presence of your tertiary alkyl halides. Okay. This tertiary alkyl halides cleaves, heterolytic cleavage to give your carbocation. And what is the geometry of this carbocation? It is trigonal planar. And the geometry of your tetra 2-bromo 2-methyl propane, it is tetrahedral. It is non-planar. So when there is an heterolytic cleavage, that is your bromide gets removed from your alkyl halide, it forms a trigonal carbocation. Okay. So this trigonal carbocation, they can either undergo cis SN1 in presence of methanol to form your substituted product, or it can undergo an elimination to give your 2-methyl propene. So these are the two possibilities that can be formed. So if the base is strong, it will undergo elimination, and these are temperature dependent reactions. So at low temperature you get an SN1 reaction, and at high temperature you get an elimination reaction. And it was found that your, like similar to that of your SN1 reaction, the rate of reaction depends only upon the formation of your carbocation, that is alkyl. It does not depend upon the concentration of your base which is used. The first step is your slow step formation of your carbocation, and the carbocation which is formed, if the base is strong, the base will abstract proton from the beta carbon and you get an alkene. So this is the E1 mechanism of E1 reaction. This is the mechanism of E1 mechanism, and kinetic studies, when it was found that it depends only on the concentration of your substrate, that is alkyl halide, and not of that of your nucleophile or the base. So in the case of E1, why it is called experimentally, it was found that the rate of reaction depends only on the concentration of your substrate, not of that of your base. So regioselectivity. What is this regioselectivity? Regioselectivity means what are the major products. So when the reaction occurs, the product will be either regioselective or regiospecific. Regioselective means you get a single major product. You get a single major product. Its concentration will be more. Okay. So if let's just take an example of 2-chloro-2-methyl butane. So when it reacts, so your major products will be 2-methyl 2-butane, that will be, and the minor products will be your 2-methyl 1-butane. So this is called as regioselective. You get a one product which is major compared to that of others. Why? Will be explaining. Okay. Why? Because if you see in case of 2-methyl 2-butane, your alkene is more substituted, whereas in case of 2-methyl 1-butane, your alkene is less substituted. So that's why they say it's a regioselective. It will give a stable alkene. It will give, rearrange to give a stable alkene will be formed. So that's why it is called E1 reaction. It's called as a regioselective, where more substituted alkene is favored over the less substituted alkenes. Now let's go for the stereochemistry. So in this case, both syn and anti-elimination can occur in an E1 method. What is a syn? When both the groups are on the same side, it is when the eliminating groups are on the same side, it is known as syn, and when the eliminating group are on the opposite side, it is known as anti. Okay, when the groups that eliminated are from the same side, it is known as your syn elimination. And if the groups are at the opposite sides, the leaving groups are on the opposite sides, then it is known as anti elimination reaction. Okay, it is known as anti elimination. But the major important thing, the major stereo obtained from an E1 mechanism is the alkene, in which the bulkiest groups are on the opposite side of the double bond. So what is the criteria in this E1 mechanism? The bulky group should be on the opposite side. Why? Otherwise there is an steric hindrance. So that will not favor the reaction. So whenever you do a reaction in E1 reaction, the product which will be formed, the substitution will be at the substituent on the double bond will be all bulky substitution will be on the opposite direction. So please remember this, very much important. Okay, so this is the mechanism. It was similar to that of your SN1. The first step is your formation of your carbocation, and then it undergoes elimination reaction to give you a more stable product. So when if you see energy level of your 3-hexane is lesser than that of 2-hexane. Okay, so this is how you try to find out the stability. Now, because in the E1 mechanism, the carbocation intermediate, we should consider the which carbocation is formed. So as you have studied, since the carbocation, what is the stability of carbocation? Your primary is the least stable, and the most stable carbocation that is formed is that of your tertiary carbocation. So in a reaction, let us say this reaction particular 3-chloro 2-methyl phenyl butene. It undergoes first step, because it is a tertiary carbocation, it will undergo a reaction to form a secondary carbocation. First is, but you know that there will be a 1,2 methyl shift. There will be a 1,2 methyl shift. There will be a 1,2 methyl shift, because from secondary carbocation you get a tertiary carbocation which is more stable. When the methyl group migrates, there will be a formation of a tertiary carbocation which is more stable, and it will undergo an elimination reaction to give you a 2-methyl 3-phenyl 2-butene. Okay, so this is the product. So your rearrangement occurs to give you a stable carbocation. So it will undergo the substitute, the reaction will undergo rearrangement to give a substitution. That is, your rearrangement will give, like if it is a secondary carbocation is there, and there is a possibility of forming a tertiary carbocation, it will undergo either a 1,2 methyl shift or an hydrogen shift to give you an substituted, give an tertiary carbocation. Okay, these are some of the examples. So, and the substrate, how do you determine the substrate? So you know the rate of reaction depends upon the formation of your carbocation. So which is the substrate which is more favorable? So anything which increases the stability of your carbocation is the best substrate for your E1 mechanism. So that's the reason why your tertiary benzylic, allylic, benzylic, allylic, and they are more favored. Okay, they are more favored. And the real and alkyl halides which are used are basically more reactive, are al alkyl iodide and bromide is more favored rather than your alkyl halide, chloride and fluoride. So which is more reactive, alkyl halides used are your alkyl iodide or alkyl bromide, which are used for your E1 reactions. So now let us look at the characteristics of your E1 mechanism. What are the basic characteristics of your E1 mechanism? There it is a first is the two-step mechanism. It's a two-step identity of, now let's talk about the identity. So it, which type of reaction, which type of substrate will favor? Tertiary alkyl halides are more favored than your secondary and the primary. So your substrate is your tertiary carbocation, alkyl halide. So what is the next thing? Base. Favored by weaker bases like water and alcohol. The reaction does not have no effect on the your base has no effect. So even a weak base can be used in even because the major rate determining step is your first step, that is carbocation. So once that carbocation is formed, then you can use a weak base to abstract the proton. So leaving groups, a better leaving groups makes it much faster reaction because the bond of the leaving groups can is partially broken in the rate determining step. So the rate determining step, your bond. So anything which is a very good leaving group which can is easily be broken is favors the reaction. So solvent as seen as similar to that of your SN1, a polar protic solvent which can solvate the ionic intermediates is needed. So since it's an intermediate, it's ionic. So anything that stabilizes your ionic intermediates in the transition state will be feasible. So solvent used in E1 mechanism is polar protic solvent. And this year the question had come, write the difference between SN1 and SN2 reaction for 10 marks along with the mechanism. Okay, so these things are all very much important. Now let's go for E2 mechanism. Let's go for the E2 mechanism. So what is this E2 mechanism? E2 similar to your SN2 mechanism. It is depends upon both the concentration of your base as well as the substrate. Let us take an example of 2-bromo 2-methyl propene. 2-bromo 2-methyl propene to give 2-methyl propene. In this case, hydrogen hydroxide does not act as a nucleophile in this, but they act because the bulky tertiary halide rather than hydroxide acts as a base and abstracts the proton. So if your base is strong in this reaction, so rather than acting as a nucleophile, it acts as an base and abstracts the proton. So what is this E1? It is also known as beta elimination. So in exam they can ask the question, write a note on beta elimination reaction or 1,2 elimination reaction. It is same as that of your E2 reaction. Okay, remember this, make a note of this. So E2 reaction can also be known as beta elimination or 1,2 elimination reaction. So what happens? First step is your base is lost. The base abstracts the proton, which is from the beta carbon. So this leads to formation. Once the base abstracts the proton, the double bond is formed, and when the double bond is formed, the halogen, the leaving group which is attached to the alpha carbon, is lost, and you get your corresponding alkene. The weaker the base, the better is the leaving group. The relative rate of reactions is alkyl halide is a very alkyl iodide is the very good substrate for this reaction, and anything which can be broken easily bond we can act as a good base. Okay, this can occur in normal substrate also. Now let's go for the next. Next, go for the next. The removal of proton and the halogen is known as dehydrohalogenation. So the removal of proton and your halogen, the removal of your proton and your halogen is known as dehydrohalogenation. Okay, removal of proton and halide ion is called as dehydrohalogenation. So what happens? The base abstract the proton, which is beta to your halogen atom, and there is a simultaneous elimination of your bromide. So it takes in one step. It takes place in one step. So first is base abstracts the proton, which is beta to your alkyl halide carbon, and forms a double bond. In the formation of a double bond, your bromide gets elimination. So thus the reaction takes place. So what does this say? So in stereochemistry, the bond to be eliminated group must be that H and X must be in the same plane. So substitution are symmetrical periplanar. Substitution can be anti-periplanar. The anti-elimination is favored over the syn elimination because both the groups, like when then base abstract the proton and the leaving, both will be negatively charged. So that will be unstable, similar to that of your SN1 reaction. So that's why the anti-elimination, that is backside attack, is more favored than your front side element. Okay, so remember this thing: anti-elimination avoids repulsion of the electron-rich base. So the stereochemistry in this case is that the leaving group will mostly be in the opposite side than that of your alpha halogen base attack. So the leaving group, the proton which is on the opposite side of your leaving group, can be abstracted by the base. So basically, an anti-elimination is favored over the syn elimination. So in case of E2 mechanism, your anti-elimination is favored. Now the reason for the next thing is stereoselectivity of your E2 reaction. What do you mean by stereoselectivity? Which product will be majorly formed? Similar to that of E1, the groups which are of bulky nature should be on the opposite side. Okay, similar to your E1 mechanism, the trans product will be more favored than your cis product. So remember that in all the cases, your trans product will be more favored than the cis product, because bulkier group will be on the opposite side and there will be less of steric hindrance and you get a more stable alkene. You get a more stable alkene because of the steric hindrance. Remember this stereoselectivity. So a trans product is more favored than a cis product because of the interaction of your electron counts, which leads to your steric string, which leads to a steric string. Okay, so remember this thing: stereoselectivity means the groups which are which are heavier groups should be always in the opposite plane. That will favor the reaction. So all even the E2 is a stereo selective reaction. Okay, so similarly, as I said, its reduced selectivity means more stable product will be found. If there is an alpha, a beta halogen on both the sides, it will favor a product which is more substituted. So in case of 2-butene, the more product will be 2-bromobutane will give you a 2-butene over 1-butene. So the major product will be 2-butene and the minor product will be 1-butene. Why? Because in case of 2-butene, your alkyl group, your alkene contains more substituted alkyl groups, whereas in case of 1-butene, it has less substituted alkyl group. So that's why it's called a regioselective, because you get a one product is more over that of your other. That's why it is known as regioselective. Now let's go for the mechanism. It's similar to that of your SN2. It is depend upon both the concentration of your reactant as well as your nucleophile or the base. So what happens in the first step? The base abstracts a proton which is beta to your leaving group. Okay, listen properly. The base abstracts proton which is, or a nucleophile abstracts a proton which is beta to your leaving group and forms, and the electron involved in the bond forms a pi bond, and when the pi bond is formed, the leaving group is eliminated. The leaving group is eliminated. So this is how your E2 mechanism occurs. Whereas in case of SN2 reaction, the nucleophile attacks from the back side of your leaving group and you get a inversion of configuration. So in case of E2, what is the first step? The nucleophile removes, or the base removes, the proton which is on the beta carbon, followed by formation of a double bond, and the leaving group is lost. And the most important thing is that the elimination should be anti. The elimination should be anti, because if they are in syn, the nucleophile and the leaving group, because of the negative charge, there will be repulsion and the product will be unstable. So in case of E2 mechanism also, an anti-elimination is favored over a syn elimination. So this is the energy diagram in intermediate formation. So as the base abstracts the proton, the double bond is formed between the two carbon and your bromine is lost. So, and it is favored more by your primary primary alkyl halide is more favored over sorry, in case the E2 reaction is more favored by a tertiary carbocation. Okay, it is a one-step reaction, and the reaction, so in case of E1 mechanism, weak base is used, but in case of E2 mechanism, a strong base is used. Okay, better leaving group, faster the reaction, and a polar aprotic solvent. This is the difference between E1 and E2. So the solvent is polar aprotic solvent is used. Okay, it's a one-step reaction. The substrate is same. Your tertiary carbocation is alkyl halide is favored over the primary and the secondary. So this is the characteristic of E2 mechanism. This is the characteristics of E2 mechanism. All the things, what all things are important? It depends upon the base as well as the substrate. The reaction occurs in one step where the base abstracts the proton, which is beta to your alkyl halide or the leaving group. This is followed by a simultaneous pulling of your proton and double bond formation, and the leaving group is, so it is a single step reaction, and the solvent is polar aprotic solvent. Why you are using polar aprotic solvent? So that there is no hydrogen bond formation that will destabilize your transition states. Okay, so polar if you do a reaction in polar aprotic solvent, you get an E2 mechanism, and the reaction if you do in polar protic solvent, you get an E1 reaction. So this is between E1 and E2. So now let's go for EC1 reaction. EC1 EC E1CB elimination reaction. So what happens in this E1C in normal elimination reaction? The first step is formation of carbocation. Okay, first step is formation of your carbocation, and then the nucleophile abstract base, and you get a double. But what happens in EC1? EC1, this leads to formation of an anion. Okay, instead of your simultaneous breaking and making of bond, first step is formation of your anion, and then this anion transfers the electrons and the leaving group is low. So since that's why it is called E1CB reaction. That's why it is called E1CB reaction. Okay, this is taken place when the leaving group is a weak leaving group. Such type of reactions are formed. When the leaving group is not that good, E1CB reactions occur. Okay, so before the loss of your leaving group, there is a formation of an anion. So remember very carefully, in E1CB elimination reaction, the first step is formation of an anion, and this reaction takes place when the leaving group is not good. Okay, so the bond will be there, and then next, and once the positive charge like anion is formed, it will push the leaving group from the alkyl halides to give you a double bond. This reaction is possible if the group present that can be stabilized by your negative charge. Why this negative charge? Because of your fluorine, which is electronegative, it can stabilize your carbon ion. Because of the higher electronegativity of your fluorine, it can stabilize your carbon ion, because the charge can be accepted by your fluorine because of its higher electron. It can pull the electrons toward itself and stabilizes your carbon anion. So this reaction takes place when the negative charge can be stabilized by a group which is present in the substituent, in the substrate. Now, what is the stability? So, more stable carbon are more substituted carbon ion, the less stable it is, and the result, this is the result of inductivity of electron donating group. So, which is the most stable carbocation? Methyl group, methyl carbon ion is the most stable. Why? Because as the alkyl substitution increases, the electron density increases, and this destabilizes your anion. So any substitution, if the substitution contains an electron withdrawing group in the group, that will increase the stability of your carbon ion by distributing the charge. So this is about E1CB reaction. Okay. Now let's go for the elimination. As I said, which is more favored? So what is syn elimination and anti-elimination? This question can be asked in your exam. Okay. What do you mean by syn elimination and anti-elimination? If the elimination reaction removes the two substitution on the same side of the molecule, it is known as syn elimination. So if the elimination reaction occurs such that both the leaving groups are from the same side, then it is known as syn elimination. And if the elimination reaction removes the two substituents from the opposite side, it is known as, so if this see over here, if the base abstract the proton and the leaving group also leaves from the same side, it is known as syn. And if the base and the leaving group are on the opposite side, then it is known as anti-elimination. This is a 2 marks question. Okay, please remember what is syn and anti-elimination. So let us see the stereo select. As I said, stereochemistry of your E2 mechanism. What did I say? Which will be the more stable product which will be formed, which will be trans to each other. So in case of E2 mechanism, the product which will be formed will be of a trans configuration. So it will remove the proton such a way that you get an trans isomer, that is E isomer, which is more favored over the Z isomer. Okay, so your trans isomer is more favored than your cis isomer. So in case of E2 mechanism, anti-periplanar conformation so is more favored than that of your syn periplanar configuration. Okay, and the E1 reaction. What happens in the E1 reaction? Carbocation is formed. Now the major product will be formed such that the final product will contain highly substituted alkene. So the product which is formed for the proton which is beta will be removed, which will lead to a formation of highly substituted product. That's why it is known as stereo selective, not specific, but you can give two products, but the major one will be yes, either from here and on. So whichever will give us more stable product will be the one. Okay. Now let's go for ZZF rule. So what is this ZZF rule? As I said, we were talking about it. The more the substituted alkene, more stable will be the product. Okay. ZZF rule says that the more substituted will be formed in an elimination reaction. So if whatever will be the product in elimination reaction, it will be the one which has got more alkyl substitution in this thing. Okay. So let us take this particular example. So let us say transition state leading to the formation of 2-butene. So you see this particular example, that is 1, that is 2 bromopropene, that is 2 2 bromobutane. When you treat it with methoxide, so then alpha elimination first, let us see on the right hand side. So alpha elimination, beta elimination will give you to production of 2 butene, whereas in case of 1 butene, less substituted alkene is formed. So from this particular thing we can say that the one which has the substitution will give you a 2 butene product rather than a 1 butene product, because it has got the double bond which is formed has got more substitution in case of 2 butene and less substitution in case of 1 butene. So ZZF rule says that a more substituted alkene is favored in case of elimination reaction. The 2 marks question. So now what are the other things that was stated by ZZF? The transition state of the elimination reaction increase the stability of the most substituted double bond is then because it requires lower energy to get an eliminator. So whichever will give a more stable product will be the transition state, because it requires less energy to attain the transition state. So whenever you give a substitution product, like if you see the green color one, it requires less energy rather than the blue one, which requires more energy, transition state energy. So that's why it will favor this particular reaction. What is the next thing? Your ZZF rule does not apply when the base is bulky. So when the base is bulky, why? Because it cannot, because of the steric hindrance, it cannot abstract proton which is beta to your leaving group. Okay, so that's why your Sage rule does not apply on your bulky bases. Sage rule does not apply when the leaving group is poor. Moreover, the next thing what is important is that when the leaving group is poor, then your Sage rule is not acceptable. E2 carbanion mechanism is operative. In such case, E2 carbanion mechanism is Sage rule does not apply on conjugated dye. So in case of conjugated dye, so it will be, which product will be more favored? A conjugated dye will be favored than an unconjugated dye. So if there is a possibility, if you see over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is 5 methyl 4 chloro butene, 1 butene. When it reacts in presence of base, the major product will be 1 3 dibutene rather than an 1 4. Understood the reason? Why? Because conjugated dienes are more stable than your isolated diene because of the resonance stabilization. That's why Sage rule does not favor in case of when a conjugated diene is formed. When a conjugated diene is formed, the Sage rule is not applicable. Now, Hoffman's elimination rule. So, Hoffman elimination rule is entirely different to that of your Zaitsev rule. So, Hoffman rule says that the alkene which predominates or the least alkyl substitute, whichever is the least substituted alkyl group will be favored. And this is same when there is when you take an quaternary ammonium salt, you try to heat it, and the elimination product will be one which is called the least substituted double bond. So wherever then when there is an quaternary ammonium group which is present, the product formed will be the least substituted product. So if you see this particular case, the least substituted one will be the major product. The least substituted one will be your major product. Okay. So if you see in this case, bromine is a good leaving group, whereas in case of elimination reaction, this particular product will be more, and exactly opposite when it happens to the more substitution. So in Hoffman's case, when there is an quaternary ammonium salt, it will favor a formation of a alkene which is least substituted. Very important from examination point of view. Now the bases. In case of Hoffman's reaction, bulky bases are used because this leads to a formation of an least substituted base, a least substituted alkene. So why? So in case of Hoffman's elimination reaction, the product which has so the base used is an bulky group, bulky base. Whereas in case of Zaitsev rule, the base should be less bulky, okay, less of steric hindrance. And Hoffman's rule favors bulky steric hindrance and less stable product as a major product. So in case of Hoffman's reaction, you get the exactly opposite of Zaitsev product. So this is the difference between your Zaitsev and Hoffman's product. So Hoffman product is favored the less substituted alkene. It uses bulkier bases, whereas in case of Zaitsev rule, it forms a more substituted alkene and it requires less uh, hindered base. Okay, these are some of the products which are formed. Please go through it. So which will be the major and what are the bases and what are the products which we get according to the base and the substitution and which are formed. So now let's go for the last topic, that is dehydration of your alcohol. That is dehydration of your alcohol. So what is this? When an alcohol is treated with a strong acid like H2SO4, it undergoes dehydration to give you an alkene. So it undergoes E1 mechanism. So dehydration of alcohol is an example of what? E1 elimination reaction. So what is the first step? Formation of a carbocation. So what is the first step? Your proton, acidic medium, protonates your OH. This undergoes elimination to give your carbocation, and Then the next step is the water, the weak base, that is water. It will abstract a proton from your beta carbon to give you a more substituted alkene, So this is the mechanism that is given. The alcohol gets protonated by H2SO4 to form an protonated alcohol and a bisulfate. Then the water is lost to form a carbocation, and the bisulfate nuclear base which is present in the reaction. If you see the first step, that will abstract a proton from your carbocation, which is beta hydrogen, and form an alkene, and you get back your H2SO. That's why this is known as acid catalyzed dehydration reaction. This is known as acid catalyzed dehydration reaction. So these are some of the, like, what are the intermediates. So in this, in case of E1CB, you get an anion. In case of E2, leaving, and first is your beta attack followed by formation of double bond and leaving group. And in case of E1 mechanism, first step is formation of your carbocation by the loss of leaving group and then removal of proton. So these are the three types of elimination reactions that can occur. These are the